Hey y'all, it's y'all favorite cozy girl, Chi the Reality Queen, and I am back again with another episode of Robe Chronicles. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Summer House Martha's Vineyard, Season 2, Episode 5. So, this episode starts off right where we left off with Jasmine crying, talking about how she's been through a lot, her and Bria going back and forward. Summer immediately jumps up and gives, Jasmine a hug, which is really interesting because I know she's currently beefing with Bria, but I feel like when Jasmine gets really emotional, no one's really there for her. Like, I feel like she's just on her own, and it's kind of unfair. I think Jasmine, she's changed from last season, and I feel like she is a much better person overall. I don't know if it's because her husband's not there with her, but she is a much better person than she was last season, even in understanding of her friends. Um, she's talking about how she's really worried about Silas's deployment, and especially because she's pregnant, although they don't know this yet. It's a lot for her to deal with, a lot of emotions for her to deal with. um and it's funny because this whole time I completely forgot that Amir and Jordan were getting shots. Like, they completely just wanted to avoid the situation because they could hear Bria yelling. And you know Bria's talking about how she feels disrespected in numerous different ways and she feels uncomfortable and whatever. And, you know, what she did to Mariah wasn't as bad as what Phil did to the group wasn't as bad as what Mariah did to her. Honestly, I'm done with that situation, so I'm not going to comment on it anymore. But I just feel like Bria is a lot. Um, And it's funny because Preston is saying it like Preston's just kind of over there commenting on the whole thing, like, oh my God, like Bria is going off again. Because it's true. She kind of just always picks up and decides to start going off. And it's kind of hard to like watch. And he was like, I need you to calm down because you're always trying to pop off like you can fight. And nobody is scared of you, Bria. And she's like, oh, you're not scared of me. Like, no, nobody's scared of you, girl. Like, nobody. Like, it's actually crazy because she is probably maybe, I don't know, this is a guess, like maybe 100 pounds soaking wet. And I don't know if she can fight. Maybe she can. But her response to Mariah last season let me know that she really can't fight. So why do you feel that you could just always be going off on people when you know of yourself that you're not really a fighter? So you probably should shut up more, right? You would think that someone who knows, like, hey, I'm not, even if you're just not that person, maybe you could fight, but you're not that person, then maybe you should just hush, hush, hush. Like, that's what I feel. Like, I feel like the way people talk to Milo is how they got to talk to Bria. Like, shh, 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 be quiet. Because she just be talking, talking, yapping, yapping, yapping. And it's like, girl, it's okay. It's okay. It's not every time yell. Sometimes quiet. And Noelle finally pulls her away to calm her down. And Preston's basically like, everybody feels the same way about Bria. I'm just the only person willing to say it. Like, she's a brat. She yells, she's a brat, all this stuff. And Nick comes and he's like trying to tell Bria to be quiet. He's like, calm down, be quiet. She's like, I don't care. And he's like, you should care because you look crazy. And they're in a restaurant. And again, as Black people, sometimes we don't get the grace. So when we start acting up, it is immediately a bunch of racial slurs, ghetto, this, that, and people can't wait to do it. So when you know that, not saying that you need to change how you are, but you don't need to be yelling all the time in public spaces like that, Bria. Like, it's unnecessary, especially because it's unnecessary, right? Not just because you're making everybody in the group bad, it's also because it's unnecessary. Um, so then what's it called? Finally, Amir and Jordan come back and they give everybody their shots. And then they leave because they're ready to go. They've been embarrassed enough. They go home. they're in the car going home, and Preston's like, I don't even care. Like, she's always yelling, and it makes it hard to want to listen to anything she has to say, basically. And Bria is like getting mad at Alex and Amir, like, you guys just stayed quiet. You didn't, but it's like they stayed quiet because they don't care. They have no dog in the fight. You want them to have a dog and you want them to be angry, but they don't care. They don't mind Mariah coming, whatever. So it's like you want people to be riled up for you because you a rah rah Rishkamba rowdy ass girl, but it's like that's you. Everybody isn't like that. Um, then Amir is just talking about how like this is how Bria behaves when she's drunk. Like everybody knows it. It's like you get drunk, you get angry, you start yelling, you stomp off, and it's like cyclical that everybody just knows what it is. Um, when they get back, Jasmine kind of breaks down and she apologizes to Shanice and the role she played in causing trauma by making them discuss it on camera and having that conversation, especially because Jordan did try to be like, hey, we shouldn't be having this conversation. However, I am like a little biased because I feel like Jordan wants to have every other conversation on camera or in front of everybody, but when it comes to like her stuff or her friend stuff, she's kind of like, okay, no, we should be quiet about it now. No, girl, it don't work that way. You either got to talk about everything on camera or nothing on camera. But I'm gonna go with everything because y'all on reality TV. Um, then Bria, Nick, and Summer are talking, and she asked Nick to be her sleep support. I have never heard of sleep support before, but Bria claims it's a very non sexual thing that people do for people who have sleeping issues. They have someone there and they support them. Summer was like, I've slept and been supported, but I ain't never had sleep support. Nick was like, girl, my girlfriend would kick my butt if I told her I was in your bed for sleep support. And sometimes I think Bria is just ridiculous. Like, girl, what are you talking? Sleep support? I'm sure what's funny is I am completely sure that Bria thinks that is a very okay thing to do. I'm sure she does. I mean, she seems like that person. Not like it's a bad thing, but if that's what she needs or what she does, I am all for it. But girl, I ain't never heard of that before. Then you know, I didn't see it, but I must have missed the portion where Shanice was talking about in the last episode where Shanice was talking about how she hates Alex and her family hates Alex and all this stuff because she definitely walked it back and was like, I don't hate you, whatever. And I was just like, when did she say she hated him? I mean, I feel like I watched last episode, much like the rest of you all, but maybe I missed that portion. Um, then, you know, so she apologized to Nick the next morning about it. And Jasmine also comes to clear the air. And she says, Mariah is not staying with us. She will be staying elsewhere. However, she will be a part of the festivities. Like, is that cool? And everybody agrees that that is cool. Um, then she said that, in her little confessional that, when Alex, not Alex, Silas was leaving to go on deployment, Bria showed up for her and she wants to be a good friend to Bria as well. Like someone who has been there for me, let me support them a little bit as well. And I love that. Like I said, Jasmine has had immense amounts of growth since last season. And the fact that Jordan is still being so iffy about her is crazy town because that just shows that Jordan had zero growth while Jasmine was the person that was like, hey, I had a lot of faults, let me fix them. And this just goes back to my point of Jordan having no accountability because she doesn't think there's anything wrong with her and she doesn't think there's anything to fix. So see how that works out, right? Because of that, there's no growth. Whereas Jasmine basically got bogged down and hammered down by both the fans and the people in the house about her behavior. So she went back and said, dang, I need to switch up. And in a good way, not switch up like on your friend, bad way, but she realized she needed to do better. So then they all decide to go play basketball. And Alex is talking about how he played in high school and he conveniently left out college. it's funny because, well, whatever. I guess he just wanted to show that he played at some point. And he is really tall, so it kind of makes sense. Whereas Nick, on the other hand, has no basketball abilities at all. Like, he's just tall, but that's a runner's body. That is a runner's body. He is not a basketball player. He was missing layups, and not in a way that's like, oh, he missed that layup and it was close. He was missing layups in a way that it was like, can can you see the basket? Was concerned by some of the shots he was putting up. Shanice played in high school. Shanice played in college. It's funny to me because I feel like sometimes girlies, like, when they move on into their little hot girl era, they want to low key kind of act like they're no longer athletic, even though they have that skill. Like, you have the skill, girl. Play it up. Get in the game. You played collegiate basketball. I don't care if you went D3, whatever. I don't know where she went, but I'm saying, like, it really doesn't matter where you went. If you played collegiate basketball, you have to be pretty darn good. There's no way like you're not at least decent at the game. So, I mean, they didn't really show the game, but when they initially showed her, she was over here dribbling like she didn't know what she was doing. Girl, you a baller, and let the world know it. Let that baller flag fly. I want you to forget the little hot girl era you're in and legitimately get in the game. Um, Preston and Bria both disagree, like, both don't want to play. So they decide to have a conversation on the side. And, he apologized. He, kept it 100. He was like, look, I'm so sorry for, going off, but I do think you're a brat. And I love that he said that because to me, it's like, you don't want to be fake. And if you want somebody to be your friend authentically, like, this is my for real friend, they should know what you think. And it's like, and he wasn't even like, oh, you're a brat and I don't like you. He was like, it's almost like a sister type. Like, you have a younger sister and they get on your nerves, but you love them. They do things that piss you off, but ultimately they're like a family member and you love them regardless. So I like that they had that conversation. She says, like, maybe you can talk to Phil and so let him explain his side. And Preston, I think he was really mature about it. He was like, no, absolutely, but I don't want him to expect anything just because we talk. Like, oh, we talk, so we should be good. Like, you may not say what I want to hear, or what you say may not be enough, right? So he's like, I want to make sure that we're going into this conversation knowing that it may not yield the results that you're looking for. And Bria's like, that's fine as long as you hear him out, whatever. So, um, one thing I will say, and I think I've said this about this group before, is that they always make up. It seems like they always seem to come to some sort of resolution. And I know that a lot of people on Twitter have been complaining, like, oh, this cast would work better if they were for real friends. And I'm like, for real friends or not, they be coming to resolutions pretty quickly. Like, Jasmine apologized to Bria the next morning. Bria and Preston were able to communicate and get on the same page. So I don't feel like they don't communicate as friends. Like I said, the problem that this group has is it's a vibe of people who need to be more fun. Like, they're having fun in the way, like, married people have fun, I guess you could say, especially because so many of them are in a relationship and then one of the couples is married, but they're not. I mean, Shanice is the only person bringing the summer house energy. Bria brings it sometimes, but not even consistently. So it's a little hard. I think that's the hardest part about the cast. Um, then they decide to go to the club that night, and Bria decides to bring her dog to the club. I don't know why, but she decided that. Um, and it's funny because she was shocked that she couldn't get in. She was like, I've been to higher end clubs than this, and they let me bring my dog in. And I'm like, and then she names Germany, this. I'm like, oh yeah, overseas, I don't know what they do, but they wasn't finna let you bring that dog in Martha's Vineyard. Which was, I don't know. I don't know what she was thinking. But what I do or did like about that situation is she took it on the chin. She was like, no, you don't have to take me home. I'll just go sit in the car, which is so unlike her. I was shocked. I was like, is that growth, Bria? Like, you're not immediately going off and having a bad time and making everybody else suffer for it. Like, you're legitimately just saying, oh, I'll just go sit in the car. I was shocked. She went, she sat in the car, she called Simon, talked to him, and, didn't complain about anything. Um, Noelle and Shanice both didn't go to the club because Noelle was feeling sick when they came back from basketball, and Shanice had sprained her ankle after playing basketball. So they both had ended up staying in unintentionally to the other, or unbeknownst to the other. And so it was just funny because I think like Noelle went to take a shower and walked in and seen Shanice in the bed and was like, oh, okay, somebody in here. Because Shanice is like the girl that has done everything. Even after going out, she got up and went to church. She went to the gym. She don't miss nothing, it seems. She trying to get her check. Uh, but yeah. So the next day they get back from the club and they go to bed. And the next day they're gonna have a little rodeo day planned by Amir. Amir is super sweet. I'm telling you, he is a great castmate. I just wish he didn't have that girlfriend. And no shade to the girl. I mean, shade to the girlfriend because he makes her sound bad, but like no shade in the sense that like it could have been anybody, right? Um, but I feel like he is such a great castmate. He went, he cooked them all breakfast. Like I feel like he really is cares about these people in a way that's like, some people aren't genuine. Like, I'm here, I'm trying to be on the show, and I just want to make a name for myself. I feel like Amir is there and he actually likes the people that he's with, and he wants to get to know them in a better way, like, and be their friend. And I like that about him. Like, it seems like he really cares about everybody around him. And yeah, I would love to have him back, but I need him to be single. He could not have this girlfriend because I feel like it diminishes his like fun side. I feel like he is so worried about that girl all the time and her being upset or jealous or whatever feeling or emotion that she's feeling, that he can't be fun. And that kind of sucks for him because I think he's a really good casting in terms of his character because I like who he is. um then they're all getting ready for their little rodeo day, and they got Preston in his little jock strap, booty all out, not even blurred or nothing. I'm like, okay, honestly, I love it. I love it. Preston, I love it. I mean, it's great. I'm glad they showed it. I feel like, with the woman, I've seen Shanice's butt 100 times. Let's give the men a little bit, the same treatment, even if it's Preston. Not even if like something's wrong with Preston, but I'm saying like, he's not my type. Like, you know what I mean? Because he's queer and he likes men. But I'm glad they showed it. And I am proud of him because in his little tweets, he was talking about how, he was happy to show his body. He loves his body. And I love that for him, right? Like, I love when people are proud of themselves, every part of them. Because, there's a lot of people that are very self conscious. So when you see somebody with a different body type, because he isn't tall and skinny or short and buff like Amir, you know, that body type needs to be loved too. It's not like he's overweight or anything, but he does have a different body type than the rest of the men that are in that house. Um, so then they get to the place, and Amir has planned for them like some horseback riding. And so they start to do that, and Preston agrees to listen to Phil. And so, this is in the morning before they leave. Before they leave to do the horseback riding, Preston agrees to listen to Phil. And, Bria FaceTimes him and they kind of have a little conversation. And he explains, he apologizes. He said, hey, I was drunk. I wasn't behaving how I should have. He's like, that's not an excuse, but I'm telling you the circumstances of the situation. And I actually think that's a very good apology on Phil's behalf because a lot of people want, oh, I was drunk, so you shouldn't take anything I said as whatever. But the fact that he was like, I want you to know that I don't think that's an excuse, but I want you to know the circumstances of what the situation was in context. Like, I came into the house acting a fool and I've gotten help. I've worked on myself. I've done this, I've done that. So I think it wasn't just an apology, it was an apology and the and he was showing that there should be change behavior, which I think was decent. I don't know if it was authentic. Maybe he just wants to get back in the house or hang out with them. Who knows? But I think that the apology sounded good to me in my ears. Um, then they head to the rodeo. Like I said, they ride the horses. Apparently, every one of them has rode horses before. Amir rode horses growing up. Jordan uh, was equestrian. Like it was actually pretty like how y'all all ride horses. But it was pretty cool. I've never ridden a horse before. I'm a little scared of them. I don't really like riding animals or doing any of that, but shout out to them because it looked a little fun. It was nice. It was a very secure environment where they can, like, or controlled environment where they can, feel comfortable in there. Um, then they played a bunch of games that Amir had set up, like what is that? Potato sack race. I was trying to think. The girls apparently didn't understand a potato sack race because they were just jumping with the stuff on their legs, but they didn't hold the potato sack. And everybody's like, hold the sack. Then they did some like little bobbing for apples type shit. And I was like, I'm not quite sure what's going on here because I think bobbing for apples is one of the nastiest things. I don't know why the idea of putting your head and opening your mouth in water that multiple other people or even one other person, honestly, it could be one other person. I don't care. If it's not just me, it's too many people. And picking out apples, I've never done it. I've never known anybody who wanted to do it. But you know what? At my next Halloween party, I am going to have bobbing for apples. I will not participate, but I will do it for the people. I just want to see it live because I've never seen it live. I've always just seen it on shows, read about it in books, watched it in movies. So I'm going to hold that. I'll make sure to make a video of just doing that for Halloween because I want everybody to see it. I think it'll be cool. Anyways, so on their way home from the rodeo day, Jasmine's talking about how she texts Preston. She's like, "Hey, I'm bringing a guest for dinner for like a little cool vibe," and everybody's like, what guest is she bringing? Like, girl, who is coming?" Um, and Bria's like, "If it's Mariah, I'm gonna be pissed," and everybody's trying to make their guesses and whatnot. And then they get home and they're like cleaning up trash. And I have to pause for a second because why do these people have so much trash? Like at all times. At all times. They have so much trash. Just, it's so much. It is an insane amount of trash at all times. Like they will be cleaning, they will come into the house and clean, but there's still so much trash left. Like I don't know what they doing. It's like they eating trash because it's like at this point, why y'all got so much trash over there? Like I'm so confused by the amount of trash that they keep. It just makes no sense. If any of y'all are watching this, why do y'all have so much trash? I know it's 10 people. Like I'm really trying to reason it in my head, but what's going on? What are you guys doing? Why do you have so much trash? Someone explain it to me, please. Um, because it's always dirty and they always clean it and complaining about cleaning, but then they're always cleaning. So what's going on? Okay, I'm not gonna talk about trash too much more. Uh, Amir calls his girlfriend on FaceTime, and he's like, "Oh my God, you look so pretty." She's a very pretty girl. Based on that FaceTime, I haven't seen her like any other place. Um, but they don't even talk about nothing. And okay, now this is so off topic, but because of this episode, it made me think of it. But I always think like people, get into relationships and they have couples and then they have conversations, and it's like, y'all don't really be talking about nothing. Like, I'm not saying no one ever talks about anything, but for the most part, everybody be talking about the same shit. So how do you really like say I like this person over the next when y'all be on FaceTime going, yeah, what's going on? How are you? What's the deal? Like, where do the real conversations happen? Because I feel like how did Amir pick her over anyone else when they on FaceTime talking about nothing? Maybe I'm just thinking too far into it. But they had, and he was like, oh, she's pissed, but I don't know why because she's not telling me. And I'm like, but that's who you're with. Maybe it's because of these 2 weeks that you're away. And he's saying that it is having a strain on their relationship. But if 2 weeks has a strain on your relationship, you probably shouldn't be together because 2 weeks is not a long time. I'm sorry, it is not a long time. And if you cannot stay away from your significant other for 2 weeks and be perfectly okay, then you probably don't need to be together. Just my little 2 cents. Um, then the girls go to the pool, and Bria asks Summer and Noelle. She asks Summer if she talked to Noelle about Alex and whatever. And Summer literally just goes off. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I should have told you that Alex was inside of me and I made him come about, 50 times or whatever, because they bleeded it out. Girl, what? Why are you so dramatic? What? Like, that was the most extra response. Like, she gonna mention that Alex was inside of her about 3 more times before this season end, because that seemed to be her favorite thing to do. But then when people ask her how it was, she be calling it a 5 or a 4 or a 6 or whatever. But it's like, girl, why do you keep mentioning it if it was so subpar? Like, I wouldn't even talk about it. First of all, it happened. It wasn't nothing. I'm over it. But you be specifically mentioning that that man was inside of you. Not, oh, we did it or we was cool or we had a little thing. No, she's very direct and clear about mentioning that he was inside of her. Like, she needs that to be known by the masses. She needs everybody to know that. Girl, get a grip, please. And so, she walks off. She kind of storms off, gets up. And Noelle, like, she feels hella bad. She goes into the house and she's talking to um, Jasmine about it. She's like, I just feel hella bad because I wasn't even trying to gang up on Summer at all. Like, Bria brought it up. I was just, mentioning how I felt or whatever because the group was talking about it. And she's like, Summer felt like she was being ganged up on. And then here comes Amir. He show up on the side just listening. And he's like, oh, don't mind me. I'm just an audience. I swear to you, Amir, please dump that girl so you can stay full time. You cannot stay with that girlfriend. Without your great casting. With can't I can't. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, girlfriend. I don't know who you are, but he can't be with you. I need this man to be a star. And unfortunately, he needs to be a star without you. Because he is funny. But yeah, so Noelle feels hella bad. And I like that about Noelle. Like, I feel like she's very considerate of others and their feelings. And it bothered her because she's like, Summer is my girl, like, or at least I thought, and I have not seen this behavior from her before. She's kind of like, I don't know what's going on. And she's like, and if she's hurting, then I'm unaware of it, like, but it's being expressed in how she's treating me. Um, then she asked to talk to Summer, and Summer agrees. She's like, okay. And, she's like, it wasn't about her. It wasn't about Noelle. She's like, it was about how Bria was coming for her in the situation. And I'm like, okay, I can see that. And, Summer also went and tweeted about how this was like the umpteenth time they had brought this conversation up. And she was just tired of talking about it. So I get that too. Sometimes you don't want to keep talking about the same thing, like beating a dead horse. Um, then it's time for dinner and it's time for Jasmine's guest. She goes and she sets up the table. She's like, there's an empty seat next to her for her guest. And everybody's like, okay, well, like, who's the guest? And so Jasmine was like, oh, I have a toast. And that the guest has already been here because I'm pregnant. Ah. I don't know why that reminded me of. You have been promoted. I have never seen that entire video, but I have seen the part of the video where she goes, you have been promoted. You are an elite employee. I don't know the context of the video. I don't know what's going on, but that video makes me die. Um, but anyways, everyone is super excited for her. They're clapping, they're cheering, they're screaming. They're just, overall happy that their friend is pregnant. Um, Noelle comes over and gives her a hug and, just experiencing joy for their friend, which, you know, well, she asked if anybody noticed or thought or suspected. And pretty much everyone was like, yeah, your boobs gave it away. Like in the confessional, all the girls were like, her boobs was sitting and she was glowing. And even the men were like, yeah, she was pretty much glowing. Like she looked different. The only person that had absolutely no idea was Amir. And that innocence is just something you gotta love. He had no idea and was the only person there that had no idea, didn't even suspect. I'm like, man, I don't get it. Um, then she talks about how Silas can't come back for the birth because the military requires that the baby is actually born and they show proof of birth before they let him go. And I can now see why she's way more stressed than what she was before because it's like pregnancy is already tough. And yes, she's going to have her mom, she's going to have Silas's mom, all those people are going to be there for her. But I think, she wants her husband there and he won't be able to be there. And that sucks that the US military does that, by the way. So boo on you. Then they're in the confessional, and Jordan makes a really snide comment about this potentially not being Silas's first kid. And I think she was trying to make a joke, but when you have already shown yourself to not be that cool with Jasmine, is kind of a weird joke to make. It doesn't sit well with me. It's not a good joke. And the fact that it was Noelle that was the person that immediately hopped up to give her a hug and not Jordan is like it's giving a hater. It's giving I'm hating on you. I don't know. Jordan is really oof. She is not coming off well this season. I liked her last season. And this season I'm just looking at her like, hmm, she don't look too good to me. Then they have an Apollo night after dinner, and everybody does like a little performance. She does like a rap, which I'm not quite sure what that rap was about. Um, Preston is the judge. Shanice, no, not Shanice. Yeah, Shanice, Noelle, and Summer do a performance as the Meow Meows, and it was actually really cute. When I first saw it, I was like, "Ooh, what are they doing?" But then as it they got into it, I was like, "Oh, this is cute, clever, different, a little weird, but we gonna rock with y'all." Um, then Alex sang, and it's so funny because yeah, Alex sang. And I don't know if he can't sing because I think he can carry a tune, but I don't think he could sing as good as he thinks he can sing in his head. Amir did a poem, and it was a decent poem, it was whatever. And Preston was like, that was Chat GPT. But ultimately, he let Amir win Apollo night. And everybody was like, what? You thought it was Chat GPT and you still let him win? But I just think it's funny because later on, that's pretty much how the episode ends, like with Amir winning. And what's funny is later on, and I think it was on Watch What Happens Live when they were talking about it, and Andy was like, "You let Amir win," and da 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 da, and they were talking about the other talents, like, I forgot who was there. Something Lopez was there with Preston, and she was like, "Oh, the meow meow meows or meow meows were really good. They were very clever." And whatever, and even Jasmine on the show had talked about how the meow meow meows was a clever like bit. No one mentioned Alex's singing. That says a lot about how people feel about his singing unintentionally. No one even was like, oh, Alex sang and it was really good. He should have won. Everybody just casually ignored it and acted like that didn't even happen. Shade, so much shade, unintentional shade because they didn't even say anything. But yeah, so this episode was pretty interesting. I'm hoping that next episode, when Mariah comes back, things are nice and cool. And if Phil comes back, there's a fight. I think they need a little bit of drama, but not just girl drama, but the guys, because the guys are so nice now. Everybody's all good. They need a little shake up. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to see what next episode brings, and I wonder what you guys think. They had their lowest ratings, I think, for this most recent episode or lowest viewings. But you guys need to watch. You guys, I promise you, it is a good show. They just have to work the kinks out. But they do get a reunion this season, so I'm super excited for that. Um, and I just want you guys to tell me what you think about the show. What do you think will make it better? What is it? What is it that they're missing? Do you agree with me that they need more single people, or do you think they just have to kind of shift something? I don't know. Please like, comment, subscribe, share my videos. Once again, share them, share them, share them. If you know anybody who watches this show, share it with them so they can give their opinion. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.